I had a new client this week with a compromised Schwab checking account associated with an investment account. I've got a couple follow-ups from people that we were interacting with last week.
DougBot said, hey, is this thing on?
And there's a confirmation of SpeakerBot. And let's get confirmation on my audio. Yes, that works. I have not even glanced at chat yet this morning. I did yesterday, last evening. So I'm going to go look at chat in just a moment. If you have issues in the chat room, this is a great time to bring it up. And I got to take care of a couple things that I just noticed that I missed on today's setup. So, Ziggy, turn Big Beast layer on.
Okay.
There's that bit, and hang on. There's the rest of setting up the stage. And I'm going to enjoy myself a Ricola Cool Menthol. And I have a cup of lemon ginger tea here. Okay, and I have done a little more, spend a little time on the YouTube notifications issue that Ken Stout brought up last week, but I don't think he's gonna be here because he told me he didn't think he was going to. Or he wasn't going to be back home. He might be watching from a remote location. I don't know. And nobody tells me nothing. See, I got to press a button on my button deck, Stream Deck it's called, because I forgot to do that. And it just rearranges little settings on my screens. Yeah, okay, that worked. I've never tried that button after the show started. For all I know, it could have ended the show. But then I live dangerously. I'm going to start out by pointing out the participants window. This is everybody who has chatted within the last 5 minutes. Although I don't know, since we've only been 2 minutes and 40 seconds right now, I don't know if it picks up people who were chatting before the stream began. It's a stream, not a string. So if you don't see yourself there, put something in chat. So I'll use that to get to the list of the names, but I'm going to go to oranges right now. Saturday, just like every day when you're retired. Hello from John Williams. Hello to you. David Graham, hello. I'm having a good day. I am indeed. Absolutely no hint of a headache today. Last 2
Read chat, please.
weeks I did. You look like it's cold in your house. Really? I'm not wearing a jacket today, and today you think it looks cold? I don't know. Is it the blue light? You know, it occurs to me the way this microphone picks up noises. I wonder if it's picking up the Ricola in my mouth, because hitting against my teeth, it's pretty loud. Yeah, TMI. Too much information, Doug. Hello, Scott. And cold is relative, yeah. So here's the read chat, please. Yes, it does pick up some chats before the stream. If he just said it does pick up some without doing that comment before the stream, I would have thought that he was referring to the noise of the Ricola against my teeth. Hello, Zavi Minor. I'm going to go to the list of names. No hint of a headache, but this show isn't over yet. Yeah, let's see if you can fix that issue. I don't have a headache right now. Let's see if you can fix that. So, hello, Brian, a.k.a. Baldy, Domain 2000. Hello, Edward Bass. Greg M., Jeff Ryman. Hellos, John Williams, Zavi Minor, Mr. Book. That's Darren Gilholm. Is he Darren? No, I think I saw him on the main screen. Phil Stodd, Rand Israel, Rick Lakes, Scott, Selden Ball, Williams Office, Xander Vanderhoven. Now, I saw that and you saw that. How do I know you saw it? Take my word for it, the screen scrolled a little bit. It just bumped up. It could have bumped up because somebody's name came in that was alphabetically earlier. And I think it was Ben Laird, because I don't remember calling out Ben Laird's name. Hello, Ben. So if you didn't get something in chat like I asked or suggested, possibility that I'll miss seeing you there. But I think I caught everybody. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it very, very much. Now, there's been have there been any questions? No, I don't. I'm not going to try to read through all the chat messages, because that's so 2025, right? That was last year. I seriously almost said 2024 as being last year. There's an orange. Now keep in mind that the oranges don't show up to me. I don't notice them until I go look at chat. If there's something that you actually want to get my attention for, that you think is like relevant to the show, not just hi, how are you? You should use the exclamation mark C, which generates a read chat, please. Or if you want to respond affirmative to something I say, it's exclamation mark Y for yes, or exclamation mark N for no. Oh boy. I almost said, some of you know what I almost said. I almost said it's exclamation mark no for N. Did I say something about it's being a good day so far? It's being a good day so far. John Williams has a headache. It's a gigabyte motherboard headache with a Ryzen CPU. New CPU is on order. It's not a migraine headache. It's not a freeze headache. It's a gigabyte motherboard with Ryzen CPU headache. All right. Oh, yeah. And Olympics, beginning of the Olympics weekend. Right? No. Super Bowl. See there? I'm doing it again. Olympics already been going for a while, I think. Andrew Bass says, keep smiling. Nova. Hello, Nova. Nova, I know you from Fortnite, don't I? Were you one of my old Fortnite friends? What's with the badges? We don't need no stinking badges. Oh, what are these shields? 12th is the month. I'm guessing those shields are...
Read chat, please.
Moderators? That's new, isn't it? Olympics now, Super Bowl Sunday. Olympics now. Well, Olympics, right, are going on now. I'm not sure when they started. I haven't caught anything really. Super Soul Sunday is tomorrow. Seattle Seahawks and
read chat, please.
The other team that they played against last year.
That's a Big 10-4.
Winter Olympics in Italy. Yeah, there you go. David Graham saying yes. Yes, with DDT. Dennis, yes. Those are fun days. Olympics competition started Thursday. All right. So let's go see. Is Sam here? Sam Lazar? It seems like sometimes he shows up a little bit late. He sent a follow-up message about the issue he was dealing with a client that was having problems with a computer that was overheating. But I'd rather wait till he's here to address that. It's not really important that he's here. There's nothing. The issue is end of life. Nova says, I love working on computers, so it's fun to watch this as well. Great, thank you. Glad to have you here. So maybe I'll go with my story about the Schwab investment account. And I'm pretty sure I can show you my AI chat conversation on the subject. Because I got to tell you, I turn to AI. I don't care that I know how to address the issue. I turn to, there's so many times it comes up with things that, I didn't think of that. Good idea. And sometimes it walks me through something that I'm kind of rusty on. And it's okay to be rusty on things. For the wide range of issues that I take on, because I take on a lot of things outside of just office computers. I can't keep it all in my head. I gave up trying a long time ago for my sanity's sake. And somewhere along here, I guess I want to introduce also a topic that I was thinking about recently on the MSP versus break fix saga or debate. Some people refer to me as a break fix technician, and that term is very, very much not accurate. So the term I think you're going to start hearing from me occasionally is systems integrator. That's a little more, I want to say it's descriptive, but it's kind of better term because it's more ambiguous. Because most of my time slips that I charge my clients for is not something's broken and I fix it. It's just not. And I take proactive actions on behalf of my clients. I look out for what they need, not just what they ask for. So break fix does not characterize fairly what I do. MSP, in some ways I function as an MSP, except that I don't bill a certain amount of money per month per computer. And that's a whole long topic. I very, very much do not like that business model. I do not like that business model, Sam I am. I need a different nursery rhyme for that. All right. So I'm looking at this chat for this Schwab issue. I want to make sure I don't say anything in here that identifies or gives a hint towards the specifics of the client. And as I was going through this, working on this, I kind of had that in mind. And I'm not even sure how these initial chats go. So I'm just, this is going to be along the lines of a real technician, live streaming, just showing the raw work. So it's possible I might embarrass myself in some of these chat messages. Yeah, because I know you like that. I know you like when I do that. Meaning embarrass myself. Okay, here we go. How much should we zoom in? Yeah, that's all right. I have a surface. This is how I started the chat with Gemini I'm using. I have a service with a client tomorrow where his Charles Schwab investment account has been compromised after changing his password. Due to the compromise, it happened again. So the compromise occurred and then changed the password, and the compromise has happened again. I'm not sure how many times they went through that sequence, but Schwab has locked out his account until he gets his computer scanned. Compromise. I use voice to text a lot, and it doesn't always get the words right. Sometimes it chops it off, even just it gets like the first 3 or 4 letters right, and that doesn't even make up a real word. It puts that in as the word, so I have to watch it. I have another chat session discussing that issue. Because, yeah, why not? I'm going to take that off screen just for a moment because still I'm a little nervous about what I said in the rest of this in terms of potential client exposure. But I've been trying to do these in such a way that I can show them on the show because I never know if it's going to be show worthy. I do not currently have a flash drive utility for this because it is so rare I get called on for this, meaning cleaning up the computer. Yeah, I have some utilities on, but they're old, they're going to have to be updated anyway. So I just say, I don't have one. I think it's highly likely there's something else going on, but I could be wrong. Now, what I mean by something else, I think maybe it's not an infection on the computer itself. My first inclination is I think ESET has an offline scanner that I can prepare off flash drives. And again, wording something wrong with that. I'm thinking of something that will boot from a flash drive. So if you want to try to guess what this is leading up to, go ahead. Now, a lot of times when I engage in these chats, I kind of know where I think it's going to go, but I want to let it make suggestions so that we can scan his hard drive without the operating system being involved. What can you tell me? What can you tell me? Does anybody recognize that phrase? What can you tell me? The pronunciation of the word what. Now, the rest of the phrase is different from this person who does a lot of YouTube videos. She says something after about what can you tell me? I think I kind of impersonated her enough that if you're a fan of her show, you would recognize that. It sounds like you're dealing with a persistent threat, likely a remote access Trojan, rat, or a kernel-level rootkit. If the client's Schwab account is getting locked immediately after a password reset, it means the attacker is likely watching a screen or logging his keystrokes in real time. Now, AI has misunderstood me at this point. It says the account getting locked immediately. No. You misunderstood. We're going to clarify that in my next response. I'm scrolling down looking, just checking the rest of this. Making sure. Yep, nothing wrong there. So scroll back up. Attacker likely watching a screen logging real time. Your inclination to use a bootable scanner is correct. By bypassing the Windows operating system, you prevent the malware from hiding or disabling the antivirus software. Preparing the nuclear flash drive. I don't know why I use the word nuclear for that. I use the word nuclear to say we're going to nuke and pave. Nuclear. Since you need this for tomorrow, here are the 3 most reliable offline bootable tools. I recommend preparing at least 2 of these, as some hardware, especially newer UEFI secure boot systems, can be finicky about which Linux-based environment they will boot. ESET SysRescue Live. Ease of best for ease of use, thoroughness, and it gives me a link. Kaspersky Rescue Disk Defect, best for detecting fileless malware in rootkits, with a link, and a tool, Norton Bootable Recovery, high compatibility with newer hardware, Norton download. I shiver me timbers at the sound of the word Norton. I wouldn't be surprised if that might be a decent utility, but yeah, I'm not going to start there. Pro tip, use Rufus portable version to burn these ISO files to your USB drives. Some of you might recognize that I have been dismissive about Rufus. That has only been in the light of making Windows installation flash drives. I prefer to just straight make them from Microsoft. Rufus, I absolutely knew that's where I was going to go for this. If the client has a modern PC, ensure you select GPTU EFI in Rufus settings so the drive actually shows up in the boot menu. Beyond the scan, why it keeps happening. If the scans come up clean or the compromise happens again after you leave, the infection might not be on the hard drive. Check these 3 silent vectors. The router did, and by the way, should I give you this clue? I'm pretty sure Gemini failed to suggest what the actual problem wound up being. That was on me finding that. Did I give it a fair? Yeah, I think I gave it a fair prompt for making that suggestion, and I don't think it did. Meaning the suggestion of what the actual problem turned out to be. The router DNS hijack. The attacker may have compromised the home router. All of these things certainly are possible. In my experience, rather unlikely, and the thing that was the problem, very, very much more likely. But yet there is a reason why I had to go down this road with the client of doing this kind of a scan. If they change the DNS settings, the attacker may have compromised the home router. If they change the DNS settings on the router, the client could be hitting a pixel-perfect fake Schwab login page, even if the computer is clean. Reset the router to factory defaults. So the computer could be clean, but if there's been an attack on the router, they get to a perfect fake of the website. They put in their username and password, and then it passes them off to the real website. It likes a man in the middle kind of attack without the computer itself being compromised. Unusual. Browser syncing. My presumptive deduction. Unlikely. I haven't researched statistics on it. Browser syncing. If the client uses Chrome, Edge, and the browser account Google Microsoft is compromised, the malware malicious extensions will automatically reinstall itself the moment he logs back into his browser. So here its concern is malicious extensions. The Helper app. Ask the client if he recently allowed a technician to install AnyDesk, TeamViewer, or Zoho Assist. Sometimes there isn't the virus, just a legitimate remote access tool the attacker is using to watch him. So if one of these legitimate remote access tools is installed, the scan might not detect it. I think it will usually detect it as a PUP, potentially unwanted program. So it gives you a chance to consider whether that needs to be there or not. The Schwab protocol for tomato. When you are on site, I suggest this workflow to ensure he isn't instantly recompromised. Air gap the machine, physically unplug the Ethernet or disable the Wi-Fi before you even turn it on. Boot from USB. Run your ESET or Kaspersky scan. The clean device reset. Do not let him reset his Schwab password on that computer yet. Have him do it from a known clean device, like his iPhone on cellular data, not the home Wi-Fi. I didn't notice that before. I never told Gemini that he has an iPhone. Is that Oh,
Read chat, please.
is it assuming he has an iPhone because he has a Schwab investment account? Baldy Brian is asking in chat, was the client was using a password manager that wasn't updated to the change and it kept sending the old password? Fair question, but no, that wasn't the issue. Reconsidering that is something that I was contemplating at the time that I got the call, and at the time that I'm doing this conversation with Gemini, I did not know anything about how he handles passwords. Audit Chrome Edge extensions. Look for anything he doesn't recognize. PDF search tool, dark mode enabler. Now, I got to say, this going through this chat, it just reaffirmed my current habit of turning first to AI, because I don't see, it's so easy to overlook one of these elements. Ken Stout in chat says he's heading home. Okay, well, we'll see you later, or goodbye, or sorry you couldn't stick around. I know, he's out and about somewhere. Let's see, I'm going to go look through this a bit to make sure nothing's exposed. Yeah, there's a bunch of links for Schwab, but there's no link specifically to his account. Because at that time I didn't actually have that information. I was preparing. So here's my response. He is also suspicious the compromise might be from his smartphone. I didn't spill the beans that it is an iPhone. He has not had any other accounts compromised. As you almost, if his new password gets saved into his password manager, which is connected with either his Microsoft account in the case of Edge or his Google account in the case of Chrome, the criminals might be getting the new password to those accounts from their own computer, and the scan of his computer will not catch that. This is me suggesting this to the AI because the AI did not come up with this bit. Also, I want to check with him about how he accesses the Schwab account. If he's using a saved bookmark or a saved shortcut, I want to check the URL to be sure that it is using the Schwab domain name. So I've had times before where a URL that's saved into a bookmark is no longer valid. And like, for instance, if they get a phishing email that has a link to click on to go sign into the account, and then the user bookmarks that, you could be clicking to go to a wrong site. So I want to know, how is he getting to the Schwab domain? Be sure it's using the Schwab domain. If it's something else, then this would be what I would call, it could be what I call a man-in-the-middle attack, which also I don't think that would be caught in a scan. Let's see. Is that typically how man-in-the-middle attack terminology is used? I don't know. I don't need to answer that right now. Let's move on. This is the AI's response. You're thinking exactly like a high-level security analyst. Yeah, well, thank you very much. You've identified the two most likely ways a clean scan still results in a compromised: cloud sync leakage and domain spoofing. Yeah, puts pretty cool sounding names on those two. If the attacker has access to his Google or Microsoft account, your offline scan is effectively useless because the infection is in the cloud, not the local files. The sync leak investigation. If his browser, Chrome Edge, is syncing the moment he saves a new password, it is uploaded to his Google Microsoft account. If the attacker is logged into that same account on their machine, the new password appears on their screen seconds later. How to check this tomorrow. Google Chrome, go to yada yada, look for new sign-in alerts from devices he doesn't own. Check Google device activity to see if a session is active in a different state or county. Microsoft Edge, go to account such and such security. Sign-in activity, look for successful logins from unusual locations. Action, if you see an unknown device, click sign out of all sessions in Google or sign me out in Microsoft. This kills the attacker's active sync connection immediately. Now, let me give you some story here. Jump ahead a little bit. Something that's on my mind, was on my mind as I was going through this, is I did not know at that time that I was doing this chat session, why do they think the account is compromised? I have had people say their account is compromised or their computer is compromised simply because their password's not working. They can't get logged into it. And the vendor perhaps detects that as fraudulent activity, attempting to sign in, and they lock out the account. And then they call that the computer's compromised, they've been attacked, their identity is being stolen, and so on. And when I go check it out, I find out that they type in their password and they're not clicking on the eyeball to make sure that what they think they typed is actually showing up on the screen. Maybe they had caps lock on and the site isn't telling them they've got caps lock on. Or I've even seen it where they type in the password in all caps and right underneath it says caps lock is on. And they just don't see that because they're just in the habit of typing the password and moving on if they're actually typing passwords. Or in other ways, they type in the password and there's a key on their keyboard that's maybe doubling every time they press that key. Or it's not pressing at all. And why didn't they already know that their keyboard was sticking on that key? Well, maybe it's one of the special keys that they rarely ever use. So they didn't notice it. So there are times when somebody believes their account is compromised, and that's not the case. So I'm going to let you know this piece. The reason why they suspected fraudulent activity is because there were several $7,000 plus checks written to people he doesn't know. And fortunately, Schwab reversed those transactions. My client did not lose money. And that is commonly the case where fraudulent activity can be reversed. That's not always the case, but it seems to be pretty common from what I have experienced. And the account that he's dealing with, this is not a business. This is a private individual. And we know that private individuals are sometimes very, very sensitive about overpriced computer technicians. Not in this case, because he manages a trust for a family, and he issues large checks to a large number of family members because there is historical wealth in the family. This type of a client is gold because they're not going to scrimp on paying the price for a professional, which I'll call myself, calling myself names now. And there's gold. He's not going to argue my fees at all, and I will be charging for all the time that I spent. Okay. Now, often, since when you manage a family account like that, the checks that you're giving out to all of the relatives or what beneficiaries of the trust, I guess is the term, there's similar amounts or close to the same amounts. Well, these fraudulent checks were in that same ballpark of fraudulent amount, trying to not be noticeable. Okay, if you see an unknown device, click sign out of all sessions in Google or sign me out in Microsoft. This kills attacker's active sync connection immediately. That was a piece of what we did. We did not find anything. We did not find any other signed in sessions. Not on Google, not on Microsoft. Man in the middle and bookmark audit. Because I suggested that. You are spot on about the bookmarks. A common tactic is domain squatting or typo squatting. An attacker might have changed his Schwab bookmark to something like, and then got a little misspelling here, SCHVVAB. Does two V's in a row look like a W? Yeah. Using two V's, or schwab-security.com. See that? I think some people might not recognize that as, no, that's not the way it would be done. If Schwab was going to have a URL for their security department, it would be security.schwab.com. The domain name needs to still be schwab.com. I have seen some entities violate that procedure, meaning they do have other URLs outside of their main name, and I wish they wouldn't do that. I think Microsoft does that. Yeah, go figure. The audit checklist. Right-click the Schwab bookmark, check properties, or edit field. It must be exactly such and such. Well, it might be login.schwab.com, or it might be schwab.com/login, but you want to see the schwab.com with nothing else before the period. If it were to say login schwab.com without a period between login and Schwab, no dice. Check the host file. The host file is located on the computer itself. Well, it shows us right here where it's located. Attackers can edit the Windows host file to redirect schwab.com to a malicious IP address. Now, there is a valid reason we did not check that. That'll be coming later. Just giving that to a little head scratcher because, yeah, you ought to do that, but there's a valid reason why we did not wind up doing that. I expected to do that. Open that file with Notepad. If there are any lines mentioning Schwab, delete them. Absolutely. There's absolutely no reason for Schwab to be mentioned in that file. DNS check ensures DNS set to automatic or a trusted provider like Google. If it's set to a random IP or an IP that you don't recognize, he's being redirected at the network level. Now, it could be set to a DNS that you don't happen to know about that may be valid. But most DNS numbers I recognize, and he did have Comcast as his internet service provider. The smartphone factor. If his phone is compromised, it's usually via a malicious profile on an iPhone or an accessibility service on Android that allows a hacker to see the screen. A malicious profile is something that, or profiles, is something that's very rarely, or I very rarely have seen any videos about profiles. I have done work with profiles with a client I have that we use a VPN in their office, not a VPN service, but a VPN router where they connect from the outside world into their office. And somehow, am I remembering it right? That involved installing a profile on the iPhone. I better not talk more about that because I don't think I'm quite recalling that just right now while I'm on the hot seat. For iPhone, go to Settings, General, VPN, Device Management. If there's a profile there, he didn't install it himself, usually from a work or tech support link, delete it immediately. Now, it seems to me that if you go there on an iPhone, you won't see anything unless there is a profile. I mean, you won't see any hint about profiles. Settings, when you're intentionally installing a profile, when you first go into settings, it's got a button up at the top offering to install the profile that you have set up for the phone, if I'm remembering right. And then go down to, now also I think it's got the, general. That's what I missed. General. And then is VPN showing in there? Yeah, it is. VPN and device management. And then, yeah, I have there just VPN. It says VPN not connected, and then there's something else. And I think that is probably on any iPhone, but we don't see the word profile. I think when you're installing it, we see the word profile. On Android, go to Settings, Accessibility, check Install Apps if there's something like System Update Support Tool with accessibility permissions. That is his leak. Well, really? Is it? You're saying just because there's something there, no, you don't know that. It might be the leak. That's one of my frustrations with AI. It just says, this is definitely the problem. If you do this, that will fix your issue. Tier 1 support on a phone call. That's the way they behave. It can read his screen and see his passwords as he types them. What? All right, I'm going to take this call. I use the physical mute button on my microphone just to be extra sure. The caller ID on that, it was the name of the automated weather reporting service that I used when I was still flying airplanes. ATIS, ASOS, FAT. FAT is our local airport. So an automated weather service calling me. So I answer the call. I answer the call, but I don't say anything yet. I pause for a few seconds. Then I say hello. Without exception, my experience has been if it is one of those automated spam caller robots, if you don't say anything for a few seconds, it will hang up. When you pause for a few seconds and say hello, and it just doesn't respond because you took too long, so it figures there's nobody there. So that's a tip. If you're tired of spam calls and you're actually answering every call, answer the call, wait a few seconds before you say anything, then say hello or whatever you want. And you won't have, the live agent won't come on the phone. Let's make sure that I am back and that you're hearing me. Checking. Yep. Let's see, and I want to pause that video. Link phone to home computer. What handy way to spread vulnerabilities one device to another. Have an update waiting on my phone. Indication of keystroke logger. Capturing what you're typing. Better way of handling spam calls. Don't answer anything you don't recognize. Yeah, that's
Read
that.
chat, please.
If you're in an environment though where you need to
Read
answer
chat,
the
please.
phone, then perhaps you don't want to take that approach. And that's why I said in there, if you are needing to answer the phone. And I do sometimes do that. Most of the time I don't pick up the phone unless I recognize the number. But if I have put out a call to some tech support for my client's vertical market software, then for a while I'm going to answer every call unless it's actually identified as telemarketer. Sam is here. All right, Sam, let's see. I'll figure out when we're going to turn to Sam's follow-up. He's not going to be sitting on pins and needles for that because he knows the email that he sent me. I'm just providing that for everyone else. Phil says, I have used that wait for someone to talk on the phone for a long time. If you're calling me, you say hello before me. No, you say hello. You say goodbye first. Let's see. Get back to my summary table for your meeting with a client. So it gives me, this is just a hit list. That's a more convenient way to follow like a checklist. Now I want to bring this home because we can't go through all of this, but you've got the idea here. Oh, okay. Well, I kind of mentioned this, so I'll tell you this. This is my next prompt. I also want to interview the user about precisely what precisely is happening that causes him to believe the account is compromised. As a point of clarification, his account is not getting locked out after changing a password. After multiple experiences, it could only be 2 experiences of fraud, I should have said. Well, at that point, I didn't know that it was actual checks that were going through. I don't know how many of reporting a problem to Schwab technicians have locked out his account. Maybe only 2 experiences. I don't know how many. Reporting the problem to Schwab technicians have locked out his account until he reports that he has his computer cleaned. They have told him, and this is why I told you that we have to go through this scan, is because they have required, we are not going to unlock your account until you get it cleaned by a professional. And they suggested Geek Squad. Or some similar retail counter to take his computer to them and leave it with them. So imagine from the end user's point of view, Schwab, security department no less, has told him to take his computer to a retail outlet, not knowing what the state of his password manager on that computer is. Oh. And he didn't, no, he said no. He didn't have to tell them. He just knew he wasn't going to do that. He was not a client before. I told you he was a new client, but he knew me already. We've known each other for a long time, but he's never actually had me work on his computer. And in this case, he called me and asked if I'm still working on computers, if I'm still doing computer work. Yeah. And he's told me his story. This would imply that there has been some form of fraud. However, I have come across security departments who don't really understand computers well enough. And if something, for instance, is happening where a criminal is getting hold of a physical check and altering it to a point of being able to deposit it to another account that is completely unrelated to a computer subsequent.
Read chat, please.
Unrelated to a computer. Subsequent to an experience like that, when the user reports a fraudulent charge to the account, I have witnessed security departments jumping to blaming it on a compromised computer when the details of the actual circumstance refutes that as a potential cause. So the user is reporting to Schwab, these are not my checks. I didn't write these. Has anybody actually looked at the physical check or the image of the physical check to see if it was a check that he actually wrote, but it's been stolen and replicated and altered? You remember, some of you have been around here long enough to remember when the mailboxes out in front of my house were getting broken into on a regular basis. All right, don't get distracted with that. Now that last read chat, please, is Greg M. asking me to see his prior to posts. Greg M., prior to post. That'll be at the top of this list, channel activity, and then go to the rest of his item. Check kiting is old school. My understanding of check kiting is when you take a check from an account that you own and write a check to another account that you own so that check looks like it has money in it, and you're trying to take advantage of the float time before that money transfers. The checks would have to be from a different bank. That was my understanding of what check kiting is. Prior to posts. So these were physical checks rather than wire transfers. I do not know. They showed up in his let's see, we couldn't get online to his account. So what did he show me? I think he showed me pictures on his iPhone of the register, online register, showing check numbers and some payee name. I think it didn't look like an individual's name. It was one of those kind of ambiguous names. And the amount, and there were several checks in a row that were all fraudulent. And there were 2 episodes of this. Defining an episode as 6 or 7 checks that went through on the same day. And then I think some number of weeks later, that happened again. And 6 or 7 checks in the $7,000 range hitting on the same day is not unusual activity for his account. Were they physical checks or were they wire transfers? My point there is that physical checks can be altered and then put through. But when you look at the register, it's hard to distinguish. For my own accounts, ACH transfers, that's not really wire transfer, but where you have the bank send the check, the numbering sequence is outside of the range of the check numbers that you have in a checkbook. And I don't think I'm suspecting that he doesn't actually write physical checks off of that account. He probably pays to the family members online. So they're all probably, using the payment tab feature within the Schwab account. If this client is using Gmail or other provider, ensure their emails are not being forwarded to another address. Absolutely, and that is suggested later in the AI chat. That will allow the attacker to get a copy of every email coming. Yeah. So like if you have a two-factor authentication that comes by email, boom, the attacker has it. Of course, that code is only valid for a certain amount of time. So the attacker would have to have some mechanism in place that notifies them of that new email, which that's not hard to do, to get a notification pinging you on your phone for an incoming email from a particular VIP. I have that set up. Greg M. So e-transfers, that's probably mostly what it is. Now look at the scroll box over here on the right-hand side. This goes on for a long, long, long time. So I think I've gone far enough to give you the idea about the conversations that I'm having with AI to work on issues and prepare things. And here's AI is coming back calling it check washing, where physical check stolen from a mailbox, chemically altered. No amount of scanning will fix that problem. All right, so we gotta wind this down. I went to his home the next day, so the rest of this is not written, so I'm going to be recollecting this. How many people in chat right now are saying, oh no, he's talking off the top of his head. So
chat,
went to his home. Phil says, sounds like Gemini is trying to be the pilot, not the co-pilot. That's a fair statement. And you can give directives to the chat to function as a co-pilot. I don't like the word co-pilot there, but as a sounding board rather than trying to tell me what to do, give me suggestions, but I don't care about that. I don't have an ego against the chat. You don't respect me. That's not a thing. Okay, move on. So how did we start out? Well, he showed me the pictures on his phone to give me an orientation about what the fraud is, and showed me the communications with their security department. Oh, there is one other thing from the chat I want to show you. I used Hiren's boot CD and prepared a flash drive with that, and was intending to use ESET online scanner, where we actually boot to the ESET online scanner with the computer connected to the internet. That way the Windows operating system is out of the loop, and we can do an online scan. I don't think ESET still has an actual offline scan, which is okay because it was never really current with the most recent signatures. Offline meaning the computer's not connected to the internet. But when you're booting to a flash drive and using ESET while connected to the internet, that I am very comfortable with that.
Read chat, please.
Because the Windows operating system is gone. Okay, I'm going to go do that read chat. It is John Williams saying, read Danielle's chat message. Bank account and not the brokerage. Seems moving money in and out of brokerage is never fast with confirming emails before the transaction. Well, let me clarify. It wasn't. It was a Schwab checking account. There's a Schwab investment account where the money sits and makes money. And then that same Schwab account has a checking account capability. So there's no traditional bank involved, but it's Schwab functioning as a bank in the sense of an actual checking account. So he moves money from the investment portfolio, I guess I'll say, into the checking account. But it's all within the same credentials for Schwab. But the actual investment account, the brokerage account, had no fraudulent transactions in it. So let's see, we do hirons. Have some more back and forth. Let's see, I should think about, I'm going to search for the word letter because that's going to take too long. Yeah. I asked it to give me a certification letter. It was going to be a sample certification letter that I can show the client when I arrive and tell them that I'm going to be giving you a letter like this. Not this letter, because I don't know for sure what we're going to wind up doing or finding. So I give him a letter, a sample letter, so that he has some comfort level about what we're going to do. Let's see, we're going to update the certification letter. The scan with ESET failed to complete properly. Oh, that is too far. I want to show you the letter that it came up with, because this is something that I'm really liking. From the AIs. Oh, see, here's the first occurrence of the word letterhead. Oh, this was the AI actually suggesting this. That's right. It came up with this suggestion before I asked for it. Write a brief professional document on your letterhead stating full offline heuristic scan performed on date, no rootkits, keyloggers, or remote access. And my response to that was, what? You want me to write the letter? That's your stinking job. You do that much better than me. Yeah, the ESET link does not have offline scanner.
Read chat, please.
Phil Stodd. Wow. All right, I got to remember you. I got to remember your comment. I'm getting distracted here. When you see the appropriate time, Phil, you can put that comment in again. Somewhere I ask it to write the letter. Would you like, oh, here's why, maybe that's why I'm not seeing it. Would you like me to draft that verification of cleanliness? I didn't say yes. Somewhere down here, ask for it. And it does a really pretty decent job of it. Oh, good gollies.
Read chat, please.
Some people are looking at this and saying, man, you spent a lot of time doing this. Yes, but I do feel it was worth it. And developing skills for chat sessions with AI, for the most part, pays off in each instance, but sometimes you just really go down the rabbit hole. Are you buffering or me? Checking drop frames. Yeah, I have a bunch of drop frames. 4.1%. So if you see buffering, it's me, not you. Here we go. Yeah, I should have figured that. I just went straight to 9 of 9 for the word letter. Instead, I got to the first couple of instances of the word letter, and then I started scrolling. Should have stuck with my first intuition to search for it. So, to whom it may concern, this letter certifies that a comprehensive security audit and hardware replacement has been performed for the above referenced client to address potential unauthorized access to the financial accounts. Hardware replacement isolation due to the persistent nature of the suspected compromise and to eliminate any possibility of a rootkit or kernel level infection, the decision was made to replace the client's computer entirely rather than an attempt to repair. I did not want to do this letter first. That's why I was going through them one at a time. So that just blows. Spoiler alert. How did we get to that point, though? The previous machine has been decommissioned. A brand new computer has been provisioned as a primary device for accessing Schwab services, data hygiene to prevent the transfer of dormant malware. No files were physically copied from the old hard drive to the new system. All user data was populated strictly via secure cloud synchronization, Microsoft OneDrive, ensuring a clean break from the compromised environment. Identification of vulnerability. A forensic review. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and wrap this up right now, I guess. A forensic review of the client's digital environment identified the Microsoft account, which hosts the Edge password vault, as the most likely vector of compromise. Findings: the account previously lacked two-factor authentication and relied on a password that did not meet modern complexity standards. Log analysis: a review of the Microsoft recent activity log showed no unauthorized sign-ins within the visible 30-day retention period. This suggests that I didn't know there was a 30-day retention period on that. So that was another thing that the AI was really useful, because this letter lets the security department think that I really do know what I'm doing. This suggests that if a session token or password theft had occurred, the initial breach likely took place more than 30 days ago, allowing the attacker to maintain persistence undetected. Remediation and security hardening. The following security measures have been implemented on the new device and associated cloud accounts. Multi-factor authentication 2FA has been enabled on the Microsoft account using the Microsoft Authenticator app to prevent future unauthorized logins. Credential update. The compromised password has been replaced with a high-entropy complex password. Independent verification rates the time to crack for this new credential at approximately 6 nonillion years. Yeah, that's a thing. That's a word. That's a number. Session termination is really long time. Session termination. All active sessions on the account were forced terminated to invalidate any stolen cookies or tokens held by third parties. And the specific technique for how to do that was included in this chat. It was wrong, but they eventually got there. The client's computing environment is now secure, isolated from the previous hardware, and protected by industry standard multi-factor authentication. And sincerely, your name, signature, title, certification. So I've made some some modifications to that in terms of, obviously I didn't include your name and signature, but dolled it up a little bit on my letterhead. Now, but what we missed there is, how did we get to that point? We were intending to do the scan. Well, after getting the orientation with the client, what's going on, we could have, actually we did. By that time, by the time that we started the scan, we had already made the decision to replace the computer. What got us to that point is when this was a Windows 11 computer, but just barely, it was an 8th gen, and it was really slow. So before we did the restart for the flash drive, we did make the decision to replace the computer. We went online through his cell phone and ordered a B-Link computer, because when I told him it's $200 to $300 to replace the computer, when I saw how slow this computer was, I said, why don't we just do that? Now, I still wanted to do the scan, number one, because the security department wanted the computer checked out, and two, there could potentially be something that a replacement computer might not solve. For instance, extensions on or other configurations in his browser, particularly his Edge browser, because he doesn't use Google Chrome. He uses Edge, and he signed into Microsoft account. The Windows computer signed into Microsoft account. Edge browser signed into Microsoft account. OneDrive active on the same Microsoft account. So this makes the transition to new computers so easy. And the only software we were going to need to install was his Quicken and a software for his hobby. Hello, Chris. Doug. Yeah, so that just covers a whole bunch of sins. Now, but let me tell you what happened with the scan. He called me in the afternoon. We started the scan, let's see, about 10 a.m., maybe 10:30. I'd been there for an hour and a half when we started the scan. And about 3 p.m., he sent me a text saying it, what did he say? Oops, nope, it wasn't the text. I don't know, maybe it was a voicemail, maybe he just called me. But anyway, he said that apparently it's done, and I tried to, I click something, I click next, or I click sign in or something. I go, and I'm thinking, I asked you to take a picture and don't click on anything. That's what I asked him. So I didn't react that way that he knows of. But I told him, well, did you take a picture? And he said, well, no, there wasn't anything to take a picture of. I said, what? So what had happened is this, he had looked at the scan a few times and it was progressing. And then one time he came back and it was simply at the lock screen, waiting for him to press a key to put in a password or his PIN number to sign in. It did not stop at a summary screen at the end of the ESET, which means the ESET scan failed. Failed. We got no information from that. So that was very fortuitous that we had already made the decision to go to a new computer. So the letter, as you saw there, does not document having performed a scan. The sample letter I gave him did give a likely report about the results of his scan. All right. Is that enough of that? The setup of his new computer was one of the easier kinds of setup because it's just his Microsoft account, OneDrive, firm up the two-factor authentication, install a Microsoft Authenticator on his cell phone, which we were going to have to do that anyway, whether it was replacement computer or not, and his printer and his hobby software. So 2 or 3 hours, I think. I was at his house for setting up the new computer. Okay, let's move on. Let's get Sam. Let's go pull up Sam's results. John Williams says he has to go. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Good choice on it. Oh, the new computer is so much faster. And it's a low-end B-Link computer. They just run circles around an 8th gen every time. Huge difference. And he was just dumbfounded. Really? All of that in this little box? He's 87, somewhere around there. A young 87. Okay. Here's Sam's email. When did that come in? February 1st on Sunday, the day after our last live stream. Says, hi, Doug. Thank you for your assistance yesterday. And Sam, I do have something here. Give me a confirmation that you're still with us, because I got a question for you. This is not just going to be telling your follow-up. Thank you for your assistance yesterday. I followed up with the client by phone, and she has decided to discontinue our services. Regrettably, she proceeded past tense. So apparently he was informed of this after she took this action. Regrettably, she proceeded to uninstall Dropbox against my advice. Additionally, Outlook has already begun syncing emails to her Gmail via IMAP as I moved local folders into one of her Gmail accounts. Okay, I'm not quite sure I'm following on that, but let's move on. Her current plan is to leave the laptop powered on continuously in an attempt to complete the email sync. I should note that this process is likely to place a significant strain on the system and could take an exceptionally long time to complete. I see you, Sam. She has indicated she will reach out in the future if she requires assistance. So when I first started reading this, I thought, oh no, decide to discontinue our services. That phrase right there caused me to think that she's never going to use you again, that she's upset. And apparently that's not the case, because she will reach out in the future. So yeah, I think that's going to be unfortunate. Results for her, but I'm I'm looking for you, Sam, to affirm some of my reading between the lines. I'm pretty sure that this is a home user, personal use, not a revenue generating business environment where it's important. The computer was overheating a lot, causing trouble with the emails not coming in. There's multiple ways that she could go with this, but I don't think it's mission critical, like urgent right now kind of thing. And that another thing I'm reading between the lines is that she's decided to discontinue the services because she's concerned about the expense. And just can't afford it, doesn't want to afford it, which is not unreasonable for a home user. So I have some comments in regards to that situation, and I want to see if Sam confirms that I'm correct in those deductions.
Read chat, please.
So here it says, it was a home user at the client's home, 10 minutes from my home. Okay, so this was not a revenue generating issue, a problem with running a business. And if it takes significant amount of time to resolve the issue, that's not all that much of a financial crisis, is what I'm reading into that. And I think a lot of the situations that you have brought to us, Sam, have been similarly home user. So what I want to start having a conversation with you now and then is, what would it take to get you into servicing businesses? Or are you already servicing businesses and we just happen to be getting a lot of the home users? Sam always creates a ticket when he addresses an issue with me. So he has access to a ticketing system. So over the last couple of days, I was asking myself, how
chat,
would
please.
a person get to those just a minute? How would a person in 2026 get into providing support for businesses? And that was a real head scratcher for me for a little while. But then I came up with a strategy that I think I'm pretty optimistic about, but it is dependent on you living in a community that does have a decent quantity of businesses out there that would need support. And I don't know, Sam, if you live in a small rural community or if you live in a thriving metropolis, or maybe if you're in a city, can you give me like an idea of the population? The ideas I have about how to start a business support, computer support business in 2026 without having to have the huge financial investment that a substantial, profitable MSP would need to have. And I kind of like to start developing that plan and idea. So let's see what we've got here. Client's home 10 minutes away. She can afford the laptop, I think, but there isn't other family dictating things. Husband. Yeah. All right. So whatever. But still, if you were providing support to, let's see, financially feasible businesses, you wouldn't have these issues. And I say financially feasible because if you're providing support to somebody who uses their computer for business, but that's a struggling business that's running on a shoestring, where their main concern is keeping expenses down, that's not the kind of client you want. You want the kind of client where their main focus is on the revenue generating side of their business, because the time they spend in putting their efforts into that are far more beneficial than spending time on squeezing expenses and controlling expenses. My clients, you hear me talk about, they are not trying to restrict or control or manage expenses, because they are substantially viable, profitable, revenue generating businesses. Those are the clients that a new support technician should be targeting. If you target the ones who are going to respond to discounts, then you're going to get businesses who need discounts, who are focused on squeezing every bit of value out of every dollar they spend. No, don't target those clients. Bad idea. Bad idea. Bad idea. Jim says, that's a client I wouldn't want back. Yeah, I agree. Let her go. Asked for advice and basically blew that advice off. Absolutely. Whoops. While wasting my time trying to figure out a solution. But that's just me, and I suck as a businessman. Not on this, Jim. I'm absolutely shoulder to shoulder with you on that. Absolutely. Do not want to continue with that client. Sam, I am not doing business yet. The most is single business operators. So you're not actually pursuing business yet. Lives in Melbourne, Australia. That's a substantial city. Consumer computer repair is pretty much dead at this point. People don't want to pay. Yeah, I pity the fool who tries to get a business off the ground doing that work. See, I don't know, Sam. I'm guessing you're probably not going to be getting any money from that work you did on that at all. Do you expect to get any kind of financial payment at all on that? I'm guessing it'd be no. Melbourne, Australia. You know what? I bet. No, that's not included on his email. Population, 5.351 million. Yeah, the ideas I have in my mind for starting a computer consulting business, servicing business clients, I think would really work.
Read chat, please.
There's a problem. I can't test my strategy myself because I don't want any more clients. I can't handle more work, and I don't want to hire technicians. I've been down that road before. It's not, you gotta have like, 3 well-performing technicians to really make a significant improvement of your income. If you hire one, that's a loser. You're gonna lose money every time hiring one, unless it's an insider, like a family member. Sam, I have some clients, and when I said new laptop in the first 5 minutes, as their old computer was non-Windows 11 compatible, they bought one with me. Oh, they did buy a new computer. That client who dumped me, I sent an invoice and she paid me. Oh, awesome. Good on you for sending it. Yeah. Good. I'm not going to say good boy, Sam. I use that against me, but Good move. Doug approved. Okay, half an hour to go. Was there other topics? If there are any questions in chat that I haven't seen because you didn't do a read chat, please guide me to it. Let's go try searching for instances where people hit me in orange. There's only 2 of them. Oh, in recent chat. See, if something has scrolled off, then I can't go back and see it. If it's prior to, 11:04, that's almost the start of the show. So no other oranges. Jim says, good she paid, but I hesitate on picking her up again. Yeah, I have had occasions where if something didn't go well with a client and I've identified them as somebody I don't want back. I've had occasions where I said, well, you just don't pay that bill at all, but don't call me again. I have done that. And that client, one in particular, she was complaining about how much a bill was. And I said, well, okay, let's do this. You don't need to pay me on that bill at all, but you need to find somebody else to do your work. And she said okay to that. 2 years later, she called back and apologized for her attitude and asked if there's any way that I would service the account again. I said, well, okay, but you have to pay that bill from back then. Then, yeah, we can start up again. And she paid that bill and we started up again. And now she's a very, very good client. And I think of another client that was exactly that same sequence. So I've taken that course of action and experienced it turning out very, very well. Not always, but at least those 2 occasions that I'm thinking of. Sam says, I was there for about 3 hours, so sent an invoice and she paid me. It was not 10 minutes for a quote. She called me over to fix her issues, to realize that she did not want to continue. So that's a real stand-up person. When they decide they don't want to continue and they pay the bill, that would be a good client. I wouldn't have any hesitation to taking that one back. Yeah, it's very reasonable when she sees that this 3 hours and we don't have this solved. Say, you know what, it's not that important to me. Doesn't necessarily mean that they are a bad seed. All right. Last week there was a email that I addressed from a person who had was working with an insurance company, planning to buy some new PCs, and asking whether they should do custom build PCs or brand name PCs, and specifically interested in use of AI. And I was asking him back, well, what do you mean using AI? Does that mean through the web browser? In that case, the computer doesn't have that much to do with it. If you're going to be hosting a local a language model, on a computer, then that could be different. And if so, what are you going to use for that? And I don't have a lot of information on that. But I had returned an email to him, giving them links to 2 points in the video where we addressed the question, and then he responded very kindly. So thank you so much for responding back again, Kenny, if you catch this. Says, yes, I watched it. Thanks a lot. I can watch your lives only after the show because we have a different time zone here. My first thought was, well, there's lots of people that are not in my same time zone that watch. I'm guessing he must be in a time zone where he's asleep right now. Computer technicians are not supposed to sleep. Did not you know that? Did not you know that? Then after the show, the other thing I'd flagged for myself was after the show, I realized that I had invited Sam into Zoom. So, and I never actually finished opening up Zoom. I got distracted somewhere along the line, and I don't think we wound up needing it anyway. So, Sam, just acknowledging and apologizing that I didn't get to you on Zoom. Okay, so now, what else has been going on around here? Oh, I know the way to answer that. Let's go look at my timesheet. See if I have any other worthy stories. Or, contemplating. Sam says, yeah, all good. Phil says, you can sleep when you're dead. Oh, some stuff about remote computer connections. Oh, I know. Yeah, this is here's the very first time slip of the week, because it gives me another subject to talk about. Do I really want to go down that one right now? Let's look through some other things and see if that's the one to choose. Oh, there's another interesting one. So the third one that I looked at is an interesting topic. Here's another one. That's the fifth one. Interesting topic. And all these ones I'm calling interesting topics, these are things the typical MSP model would not touch. Or at least shouldn't touch within their dollar amount per computer. Because these are special projects.
Read chat, please.
What? Brian's asking, tell us some stories about your dancing partner of old. Really? We did exhibition dancing. She was big into East Coast swing with, what do they call them, lifts, aerials, where I throw up around my shoulder and stuff like that. And oftentimes we're the only ones on the dance floor, everyone else watching. And we weren't nearly any kind of competitive level. That was all amongst audiences that were civilians, not really substantially in dance community. All right, moving on. Okay, that. Yeah, there's another one. That's special project kind of thing. There's the Schwab one. Let's see. See, the Schwab one looks like the first. That's right. The first time slip I'm seeing right now was on site for an hour and 40 minutes. The next one was 1 hour. Oh, that was for setting up the new computer. I think I think I neglected to put in the time slip of research and preparing for the on-site. And then delivering the new computer was 2.5 hours, delivery and configuration. But the business offices take far more than that if I do a full initial setup instead of cloning from other computers. And then there was a remote session of 24 minutes for resetting Microsoft logins. All right, so that's all. Then there's a Kyocera. Wow, there's another one. So Kyocera is 43 minutes. My client, a construction company, their copier service company wanted us to install a software on one of the in-house computers that would automatically reorder toner and report how many copies were made during the billing cycle. So that was a 43-minute remote session. Going back to that first one was a client who has 9 businesses, I was originally told, 9 businesses in QuickBooks, and he wants to switch from QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online. Oh, by the way, whoever it was that had ordered QuickBooks 2024, QuickBooks Desktop 2024, I don't think that particular listing in Amazon is still available. And I'd like to find out, are you here right now? Because I'm interested in a little conversation about that. I don't remember who that was. So anyway, as I proceed working on that, I talked with the bookkeeper and the business's owner, telling him, okay, this is going to be a annual subscription fee for each company. he choked at that because that's for each company. Compared to his QuickBooks Desktop, there's no limit to how many companies you can manage within one desktop version. I'm thinking maybe he's a candidate for the desktop version that is kind of a gray market. So anyway, we discussed that option and wound up, no, that's not going to work, because the reason why he wants to go to QuickBooks Online is because his CPA wants that so that they can stop having to transfer the QuickBooks company files every month. I think they were transferring them online, digitally, but with QuickBooks Online, the CPA can simply, signed into her own QuickBooks Online account, she can just, boom, access the company files for his business. So we got it narrowed down to only 2 of the companies actually need QuickBooks Online. The others, it's very rare for the CPA to need to touch that. But 2 of the companies, the CPA touches the QuickBooks files each month. So those 2 need QuickBooks Online. So we're doing that conversion. Not something that a normal I don't think that a normal computer technician would work. And I think it fits under the terminology of systems integrator, where you're integrating various different systems and not just supporting Windows computers directly. Had a client that needed to switch from GoToMyPC for remote connections to an office computer to some other product. So I moved them to Remote PC. GoToMyPC is essentially the same company now as LogMeIn. Something bought something. Now it's all kind of incestuous software companies. And it's expensive. LogMeIn and GoToMyPC are expensive. So I switched them to Remote PC. You can have 9 host computers, and I think it's invite unlimited number of people to access them remotely. And each person who's accessing them remotely does so under their own Remote PC account, which is free. If you've shared your host computers to them, they log into their account, whichever computers you have shared to them, that's all that they see. It's really slick, and it works much faster than any other remote computer connection that I've seen, including LogMeIn Rescue. And I gotta say it's probably still on the table to switch from LogMeIn Rescue to that, but I'm kind of gun shy now after my experience of trying to switch from QuickBooks Online to FreshBooks. Oh my God. No, I'm concerned that if I try switching to Remote PC, that I'm going to find similar. Well, I already do know some things that Remote PC does not do that LogMeIn Rescue does do. I can connect to phones, which I don't think Remote PC does. I can pull up technical stats. I can pull up everything that is in Task Manager. I can pull up all services information without even bringing up the remote connection screen. Now, the client still can see on their screen that I am connected, even though I'm not seeing what they're doing. And that's been real useful if for some reason if their computer's locked up, they can't get any response from it. I can still connect to it and be able to see what's going on under the covers, which Remote PC doesn't do that. Yeah, another thing, I do not, oh man, GoToMyPC. I went into their account, my client's account, looking for how to cancel. Pretty sure that there was not an online method to cancel. And I got to a screen where at the top of the screen it said, if you want to cancel, call such and such. You have to call the phone number. So I called the phone number. I'm told by the automated service it's going to be a 10-minute hold time, and that was pretty close to accurate. And then I got on with this guy. He seemed to know what he was doing, but his computer just wasn't working. He kept coming, put me on hold, come back. I'm sorry, this is taking so long. Can you hold on for a few more minutes? I'm sorry it's taking so long. Can you hold on for... I'm sorry it's taking so long. Can you hold... Oh my gosh, it went on and on, I think 20, 25 minutes. And then he finally said, you know what? Let me deal with this and call you back. He eventually called me back. And then what he did is he told me to scroll further down on that screen. And there is a link at the bottom of the screen that says, cancel the account. Why didn't you tell me that before? So I click on cancel account, but then it still requires his interaction. So it wasn't a standalone cancel account. We eventually got the account canceled, and I was able to get email and on-screen confirmation of it. He was fine talking with me. I didn't have to get my client to speak up and authorize me to represent him, probably because I was logged into the account. Phil Stott in chat says, any remote software is a potential security risk. Yes, any remote software can be a potential security risk if you don't do it properly. But you can do it properly. So as a professional computer consultant, you're expected to do it properly. Any remote software is a potential security risk if it is not handled properly. Some remote software products are a potential security risk no matter how you do it. Okay, then there was a 17-minute time slip. Phone and remote support provided training for how to password protect Adobe PDF files and discuss best practice. That's not a break fix. Under the MSP model, I think they would help a person with that, but I think it's haphazard to which technician at that company you're going to get hold of. Do they already know how to do that, or how quickly can they find how to do that? My experience working with technicians, it could be a crapshoot. I had a client that, let's see, here's an 18-minute time slip. It's in the Law 40 office where
Read chat, please.
They have a vertical market. Get that in a minute. They had a vertical market software for their law office business that includes calendar items like court appointments, depositions, meetings with clients or opposing counsel. And he wanted that to be on his cell phone. Well, that
Read
was
chat,
functioning.
please.
In a minute. That was functioning, but he didn't think it was functioning because he wasn't getting certain appointments. Turns out there's a configuration in the software where any particular case can have a designated attorney that it's assigned to and an attorney who's handling the case. Well, the export settings for his calendar items had his initials for both of those, which meant the only content that was getting exported to his Outlook calendar were the ones that had his initials for both of them. And there was many cases where he's the attorney assigned, but there's another attorney handling. Now that person's not actually an attorney, but it's associate handling, we could call it. So those weren't getting exported. So all I did there was delete that second one so that anything assigned to him gets exported to his calendar, no matter who is in the second position. So let's go get those read chat messages. Jim says break fix to me means hardware. Yeah, so severely restricting how you can earn money. Not really providing support to businesses, just providing support for broken computers. I'm not saying that would, Jim isn't trying to provide support to businesses, but MSPs on their websites and in their verbal conversations, they refer to them as this MSP model better than the break fix model. They use the term break fix, not referring to hardware. I think that's really good definition, that break fix is referring to a broken computer that's just not working. Hello, Parker. Rand Israel, any thoughts about Microsoft giving the FBI BitLocker recovery keys from a Forbes article. Like I've told you before, I don't keep up with news. There's just way too much, and it has nothing to do with my actual work. The tech giant says it receives around 20 requests for FBI for BitLocker keys a year and will provide them to governments in response to valid court orders. I don't have any problem with that. But companies like Apple, Meta set up their systems so such privacy violation isn't possible. Court orders can violate the privacy of your home. Court orders can violate the privacy of your business legitimately. If they get a court order, a judge to sign off that there is sufficient legal justification to violate that privacy, then yeah, issue the court order, and yeah, Microsoft provide that. ISPs do that too. My impression is that most service providers in the computer industry do respond to legitimate court orders. I have no objection to that whatsoever. Apple and Meta have been barely, as I understand it, able to deny that, but my understanding is that they mostly can deny that based upon they have structured their systems so that it is technologically not possible for them to provide it. But I haven't researched the issue. You asked my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. Without researching the issue, I have absolutely no problem with Microsoft responding to court orders. Your apartment manager will do it. Your landlord will do it. Court orders are a legitimate thing in our society. Use a local account and store BitLocker key yourself. Well, yeah, and don't use Microsoft. You get an actual BitLocker. I think BitLocker is still a separate thing that you can buy. So yeah, if you want to hide from a court order, there are ways to go about it. I'm not going to help a person do it because what are you hiding from? I don't really want to associate with you. If you're just a privacy advocate, then pursue it on your own, but I'm not interested in that. Okay. A minute and a half. Thereabouts to go. Oh, Phil Stodd says small model LLMs, large language model, can run on 16 gigabytes of RAM, albeit at a slower rate. Have you looked into that at all? I have absolutely no awareness or knowledge on having a locally operating AI. I should go ask an AI about that. I know I've thought of doing that, and it's just not high enough on my interest level. Yeah, all right, let's put this to bed. There's an email address. You can send a question or a story of something that you went through as an IT service provider, or reasonably thereabouts, or maybe something that you went through with fixing a problem yourself. And Israel says, my point was with Microsoft, it's possible. With the others, it's not. Oh, all right. Yeah, I don't know if I'm correct in saying that the others, that it's because they've designed it to be technologically not possible. But for Facebook, I thought I've come across information that they do
Read chat,
provide
please.
that. Phil says he's seen it demonstrated for the local AI. And then also, Phil to Greg, BitLocker is a false sense of security, just like taking shoes off at the airport. It can be done right and it can be done wrong, just like the remote control software. It can be done wrong. Okay, so get out of here, Doug. Have a good weekend, everybody. What did I say? Yeah. Super Bowl, Olympics, whatever your thing is. And I will catch you next time around. Hasta la vista, baby.
That's all, folks.
Tune in. Today is a week for Windows support, the help you seek. Send an email, leave a comment, join the chat. Our tech-savvy crew is where it's at. Not just me, but a whole community, helping you solve tech mysteries. With friends who are here almost every day, we love to chat and help you find your way. So subscribe now, be part of the team. For Windows support and more than you dream. Join the fun, don't miss a single stream. At LiveWindowsTraining-DougBetts or simply we're tech support supreme. We're tech support supreme. Tune in, days a week for Windows support, the help you seek. Send an email, leave a comment, join the chat. Our tech-savvy crew is where it's at. Not just me, but a whole community, helping you solve tech mysteries. With friends who are here almost every day, we love to chat and help you find your way. So subscribe now, be part of the team. For Windows support and more than you've dreamed. Join the fun, don't miss a single stream. At LiveWindowsTraining-DougBetts or simply more deeply VB, we're tech support supreme. We're tech support supreme. We're tech support supreme. Tech support supreme. We're tech support supreme. We're tech support supreme. We're tech support supreme.